What if I told you that the most effective privacy barrier in human history isn't a fence, a wall, or a screen? It's a living wall that ancient civilizations trusted to protect their most valuable spaces for over 2,000 years. And today, you can plant one in your backyard for less than the cost of a nice dinner out. Today, we're covering 20 of the fastest growing privacy trees on the planet. But here's the thing most people don't realize. These aren't just fast-growing trees. They're living walls that have protected civilizations for thousands of years. From Roman estates to medieval monasteries to Native American survival. And right now, while your neighbor is getting quotes for a $30,000 privacy fence that's going to rot in 15 years, you could plant a living wall for $200 to $500 that gets stronger and more beautiful every single year. Stick around, because number 8 on this list grows so fast, your neighbors will think you installed a fence overnight. And number 17, it has silvery blue foliage so stunning that people will forget it's even a privacy tree. You know, sometimes the best solutions are the ones that have been growing all along. Nature provides everything we need, including privacy. If you're new here, we explore the forgotten wisdom of plants that our ancestors trusted for centuries. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a single one. Let's get into it. Number 1. Leyland Cypress, the privacy powerhouse. Roman estate owners planted cypress rows along the Appian Way over 2,300 years ago. Not for beauty, but for strategic wind protection and privacy from passing armies. Those living walls protected some of the most powerful families in human history. And today, this tree delivers 3 to 4 feet of growth every single year. It thrives in zones 6 through 10. Dense, feathery evergreen foliage in a perfect pyramidal form that blocks everything. Wind, noise, and yes, your neighbor's view into your backyard. So why did an entire generation replace these proven living walls with $30,000 wooden fences that rot in 15 years? Let me tell you a quick story. A viewer from Tennessee wrote to us last month. 3 years ago, her backyard was completely exposed, flat, treeless, with a chain link fence that hid nothing. She could see into 4 different neighbors' yards. Privacy score, 0. She planted 12 Leyland cypress saplings, spacing them 6 feet apart along 2 property lines. Total cost, including soil amendments, under $350. She followed the deep watering method, slow drip, once a week for the first 2 growing seasons. 3 years later, those saplings are now over 15 feet tall and fully filled in. Last month, her neighbor, who moved in 2 years ago, told her, "I always assumed this tree line had been here for decades." That is the transformation we're talking about. $350, 3 years, and a lifetime of privacy. And here's what most people don't know. Leyland cypress wood is naturally resistant to rot, making fallen branches perfect for garden stakes and trellises. Your privacy tree is also your free supply of garden tools. Think of it as the tree that literally builds your privacy wall year after year, just like it did for Roman generals 2,000 years ago. Number 2. Green giant Arborvitae, the low-maintenance screen. Native Americans called Arborvitae the tree of life. And there's a reason for that name. In 1536, French explorer Jacques Cartier's crew was dying of scurvy during a brutal Canadian winter. It was a tea made from Arborvitae leaves, shared by indigenous healers, that saved their lives. A privacy tree that literally saved an entire expedition. Today, this tree pushes 3 to 5 feet of growth every year. Zones 5 through 8. 0 maintenance. Naturally narrow, so it won't eat up your yard space. And here's the best part. It's practically disease resistant. While other trees are fighting fungus and pests, Green Giant just keeps growing. Yet most garden centers will try to sell you a fence before even mentioning this tree. Because a fence is a one-time sale. A tree, well, a tree takes care of itself. And the foliage, when you crush it between your fingers, it releases a natural insect repellent. Your privacy screen doubles as a bug barrier for your patio. Think of it as the privacy solution that proves fast growing doesn't have to mean high maintenance. Plant it, water it the first year, and then just watch it work. Number 3. Emerald Green Arborvitae, the narrow specialist. Medieval monastery gardens across Europe were bordered by columnar Arborvitae. Monks discovered something brilliant. Narrow trees created perfect living walls without stealing sunlight from their medicinal herb beds. Privacy and productivity from the same row of trees. Now this one grows a bit slower, 1 to 2 feet per year, but it makes up for it with incredible cold hardiness. Zones 3 all the way down to 8. And the form, slim columnar, 12 to 15 feet tall, but only 3 to 4 feet wide. Perfect for tight spaces where other trees would take over your entire yard. Most people skip this tree because it grows slower. But sometimes the best privacy comes to those who plan ahead. The monks knew that. They planted for generations, not just for next summer. The dense branches provide year-round shelter for songbirds. Plant a row of these and you won't just have a privacy wall, you'll have a bird sanctuary right outside your window. Imagine waking up to that every morning. Now, one important warning. Deer love browsing on emerald greens. If you're in a high deer area, consider wrapping them the first few years, or look at our next tree instead. Think of it as the tree that proves sometimes slower and steadier wins the privacy race, especially in tight spaces where medieval monks figured this out centuries ago. Number 4. Thuja Techny, the broad-shouldered protector. This tree was bred in Techny, Illinois, at a Catholic seminary in the early 1900s. The monks needed a tree tough enough to handle brutal Midwest winters while protecting their prayer gardens from howling winds. So they selected and cultivated the hardiest specimens they could find, generation after generation. The result? One of the most cold-hardy privacy trees you can plant. Zones 2 through 7. That means if you're in Minnesota, Wisconsin, even parts of Montana, this tree will stand its ground when everything else freezes. It grows 1 to 2 feet per year with a broader pyramidal form, 10 to 15 feet wide. And because it's broader, you need fewer trees to create a solid wall. That means less money, less planting time, and faster coverage per tree. Here's the real value though. This one tree gives you triple function: visual barrier, windbreak, and noise buffer, all from one planting. Think of it as the workhorse privacy tree, the one that monks trusted to protect their most sacred spaces through the harshest winters. If it's good enough for a Midwest monastery, it's good enough for your backyard. Number 5. Norway Spruce, the drooping giant. Scandinavian farmers planted Norway spruce windbreaks for over 1,000 years. The drooping branches were so effective that Viking-era homesteads used them as the first line of defense against North Sea storms. When a blizzard came howling across the fjords, it was these trees that stood between the family and the fury of nature. This tree pushes 2 to 3 feet per year and thrives in zones 2 through 7. But here's what makes it special. It grows 40 to 60 feet tall, with cascading, drooping branches that sweep all the way to the ground. That means 0 gaps at the bottom, where most privacy trees fail. Most people think drooping branches are a flaw. They look at it and think, something's wrong with that tree. No, those drooping branches are the ultimate privacy feature. Ground to crown, complete coverage. And here's something that will blow your mind. The wood of Norway spruce is the preferred choice for violin and guitar soundboards. Your privacy tree shares DNA with a Stradivarius. That's the kind of quality we're talking about. Think of it as the tree that proves drooping branches aren't a flaw. They're a privacy feature that Vikings trusted with their families' lives. Now, if you thought evergreens were your only option for privacy, the next 5 trees are going to completely change how you think about deciduous privacy. Number 6. Bald cypress, the deciduous surprise. Bald cypress trees have been growing in American swamps for over 100 million years. Let that sink in. Some living specimens in North Carolina are over 1,600 years old. The wood was so rot-resistant that Native Americans carved entire dugout canoes from single trunks. Canoes that could survive years on open water without breaking down. This tree pushes 2 to 3 feet per year and thrives in an incredible range. Zones 4 through 10. Now, here's the surprise. Yes, it's deciduous. It drops its needles in winter. But the branching pattern is so dense that even in winter it provides solid screening. Most people hear deciduous and immediately think no privacy in winter. But bald cypress breaks that rule. The dense architecture of its branches creates a framework that still blocks sightlines even without leaves. The wood is naturally rot-resistant. Early settlers built entire houses from bald cypress, and some of those structures are still standing today. Your privacy tree is also one of the most durable building materials in North America. Think of it as the privacy solution that proves deciduous doesn't mean ineffective, and 100 million years of evolution doesn't lie. Number 7. Tulip tree, the towering privacy maker. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson both planted tulip trees at their estates. Mount Vernon's original tulip poplar, planted in 1785, still towers over the property today, 240 years later. The founding fathers understood something we've forgotten. The best way to define a property is to grow its boundaries. This tree delivers 2 to 3 feet per year in zones 4 through 9. And it gets big, 80 to 100 feet tall, making it the tallest eastern hardwood in North America. That kind of height creates an overhead canopy that provides privacy from every angle, not just the sides. Here's what sets this apart from every other tree on this list. In spring, it produces gorgeous tulip-shaped flowers that most people don't even know exist on a privacy tree. Beauty and function in one planting. The flowers are also a major nectar source for honeybees. Plant a row of tulip trees and you're not just creating privacy, you're supporting an entire backyard pollinator ecosystem. Think of it as the tree that proves privacy and ornamental value aren't mutually exclusive. Good enough for a president's estate, perfect for your backyard. Number 8. Red Maple, the 4-season privacy tree. Remember when I said number 8 would surprise you? Here it is. Red maple is the most abundant native tree in eastern North America. Colonial settlers tapped it for sugar when they couldn't find sugar maples, and the wood built the first American furniture. This tree has been part of the American story since before America existed. 2 to 3 feet per year in zones 3 through 9, that's one of the widest ranges on this entire list. But here's what makes red maple extraordinary for privacy. In spring, red flowers. In summer, dense green canopy that blocks everything. In fall, brilliant red-orange foliage that turns your property line into a postcard. 4 seasons of visual impact. Most people plant privacy trees and accept that they'll look boring. Red maple says no. Privacy can be stunning. And yes, you can tap red maple for syrup. It's sweeter than you'd expect, and the sap runs earlier than sugar maple. Your privacy tree doubles as a breakfast condiment. Think of it as the tree that proves functional doesn't have to mean boring. Privacy that puts on a show, 365 days a year. Number 9. Willow Hybrid, the water-loving wall. Willows have been planted along riverbanks since ancient Mesopotamia. Babylonian gardens used willow walls to create private courtyards within the hanging gardens themselves. One of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, using the exact same tree you can plant in your backyard this weekend. And this tree is fast. 6 to 10 feet per year. That makes it the fastest growing tree on this entire list. Plant a 6-foot sapling, and by the end of your first summer, it could be 12 to 15 feet tall. Zones 4 through 9. But let me tell you why this tree is more than just speed. I know a retired couple in Georgia who spent 30 years dreaming of enjoying their backyard in peace. But every time they stepped outside, they were staring directly at their neighbors' pool parties, hearing every conversation, feeling like they were living in a fishbowl. They got quotes for a privacy fence, $22,000. For a retired couple on a fixed income, that wasn't an option. So for years, they just stopped going outside. Their own backyard became a place they avoided. Then, they planted 12 willow hybrid saplings along their back fence line. Cost, under $200. Within 18 months, not years, months, they went from complete exposure to complete seclusion. Today, they eat breakfast on their patio every single morning. She told me it feels like they got their home back. And here's a bonus most people don't know. Willow bark contains salicin, the natural compound that inspired aspirin. Our ancestors chewed willow bark for pain relief for thousands of years. Now, one critical warning. Willow hybrids have aggressive root systems. Plant them at least 30 feet from foundations, pipes, and septic systems. This is not optional. Think of it as the ultra-fast grower that proves wet soil isn't a problem. It's an opportunity. And sometimes, the fastest path to privacy is the one that gives a retired couple their home back. Number 10. Silver maple, the fast shade privacy tree. Silver maples lined the streets of early American towns. Benjamin Franklin himself famously advocated for planting them along Philadelphia's boulevards for shade and beauty. When America's founding fathers needed to make their cities livable, they turned to this tree. 3 to 5 feet per year in zones 3 through 9. The canopy spreads 40 to 60 feet wide, creating a living umbrella that provides overhead and lateral screening simultaneously. And when the wind blows, the silver undersides of the leaves shimmer and flash like thousands of tiny mirrors. It's genuinely mesmerizing. Here's the practical value that most people miss. That massive canopy doesn't just provide privacy. It reduces your summer cooling costs by up to 30%. Your privacy tree is literally paying you back every month on your energy bill. Important warning though, silver maple has aggressive roots just like willow. Do not plant this tree near foundations, driveways, or septic systems. Give it space and it will reward you for decades. Think of it as the fast-growing solution that delivers multiple benefits while creating effective privacy screening. Benjamin Franklin knew a good tree when he saw one. Now, here's where things get really exciting. The next 5 trees grow so fast, they'll make everything we've talked about so far look like it's standing still. Number 11. Hybrid poplar, the speed demon. Lombardy poplars were the privacy tree of choice for Italian Renaissance villas. Rows of towering poplars still line the roads of Tuscany, creating living corridors that have guided travelers for 500 years. When the great Italian families needed to make a statement, they planted poplars. And the modern hybrid poplar takes that legacy to another level. 4 to 8 feet per year in zones 3 through 9. This tree was literally engineered for speed, crossing specific species to maximize growth rate. 60 to 80 feet tall at maturity. Now, here's the honest truth. Speed comes with a trade-off. Hybrid poplars have a shorter lifespan, 20 to 30 years, compared to the centuries that some trees on this list can live. And the roots are aggressive. But here's the strategy. Plant hybrid poplars as your temporary privacy screen while slower evergreens mature behind them. By the time the poplars reach their limit, your evergreens are fully established. It's the ultimate privacy bridge. Think of it as hiring a bodyguard while your permanent security system gets installed. If you need privacy yesterday, this is your tree. Number 12. Quaking aspen, the clonal colony creator. The largest living organism on Earth is not a whale. It's not a fungus. It's a quaking aspen colony in Utah called Pando. 80,000 trees sharing one root system, weighing over 13 million pounds and estimated to be 80,000 years old. One single organism that has been alive since before human civilization existed. This tree grows 2 to 3 feet per year in zones 1 through 7. That means it survives in places where almost nothing else will grow. Beautiful white bark and golden fall foliage that turns entire mountainsides into liquid gold. But here's the privacy secret. Quaking aspen spreads through root suckers. Plant a few, and nature does the multiplying for you. A privacy grove that expands itself for free. You're not just planting trees, you're starting a colony. Now the important warning. Those root suckers can be aggressive. Install root barriers or plant in contained areas unless you want aspens popping up across your entire property. Think of it as letting nature do the multiplying to create the most effective privacy solution. If an 80,000-year-old organism figured it out, maybe we should pay attention. Number 13. River birch, the multi-stem screen. River birch bark was used by Native Americans for medicine, fire starting, and waterproof canoe repairs. The exfoliating bark made it one of the most versatile trees in indigenous survival. When you needed to heal a wound, start a fire in the rain, or patch a boat, you found a river birch. This tree pushes 2 to 3 feet per year in zones 4 through 9. But here's what makes it a privacy powerhouse. River birch naturally grows in multi-trunk form. A single tree can screen 10 to 15 feet of width because those multiple stems fan out and create a living wall of cinnamon-colored peeling bark. That bark, it's genuinely sculptural. Layers of cinnamon and cream peeling in curls that catch the light. This isn't just a privacy tree, it's a piece of living art in your landscape. The sap can be tapped like maple syrup. Birch water has been a Scandinavian health tonic for centuries, long before it became trendy in health food stores. Think of it as the tree that proves screening can be sculptural, and that wet soil is just another opportunity waiting to be planted. Number 14. Sweet gum, the tall privacy. Sweet gum resin, called storax, was traded along ancient spice routes alongside cinnamon and frankincense. Aztec healers used it to treat skin wounds, and it's still used today in natural perfumery and incense. This tree was literally currency in the ancient world. 2 to 3 feet per year in zones 5 through 9. 60 to 75 feet tall at maturity. The star-shaped leaves are distinctive and beautiful, and the fall colour is absolutely spectacular. We're talking yellow into orange into deep burgundy purple. One tree, 4 different colours across the same canopy. Now, those spiky seed balls that annoy most homeowners, here's something that will change how you see them. They're actually packed with shikimic acid, the same compound used to make Tamiflu, the anti-flu medication. Those annoying seed balls are literally pharmaceutical grade. Most people overlook sweet gum because of those seed balls. But sometimes, the things that annoy us the most are hiding the greatest value. Think of it as the tree that proves sometimes height is the best privacy strategy. When you can't block the view sideways, go up. Number 15. Eastern White Pine, the soft Sentinel. Eastern White Pine was so valuable to the British Navy that colonial governors marked the tallest specimens with the King's Broad Arrow, reserving them exclusively for ship masts. This enraged colonists so deeply that the white pine became a symbol of the American Revolution, a privacy tree that helped start a nation. 2 to 3 feet per year in zones 3 through 8. Soft, long needles that sway in the breeze like silk. Natural, irregular growth that gives it a park-like elegance. And this tree lives. 100 years, 200 years. Some specimens over 400 years old. But here's what really sets Eastern White Pine apart in the history of human survival. The inner bark saved entire Native American communities during winter famines. When everything else was frozen and dead, the white pine kept people alive. And the needles make a vitamin C tea that puts store-bought supplements to shame. This is a tree with layers of meaning. Privacy, beauty, history, and genuine life-saving value. Think of it as the tree that proves you can have effective privacy while maintaining a natural park-like aesthetic. A tree that sparked a revolution and can transform your backyard into a peaceful retreat. We've covered the speed demons, but these last 5 trees, they're not just fast. They're the kind of trees that make your entire property look like it belongs in a botanical garden. Number 16. Douglas Fir, the Western Privacy Champion. Pacific Northwest indigenous peoples considered Douglas fir sacred. The Quack-Wackawak used its pitch for waterproofing canoes and its branches for ceremonial regalia. Some specimens alive today were seedlings when Columbus sailed. These trees have been standing guard over the Western landscape for longer than European civilization has existed in North America. 2 to 3 feet per year in zones 4 through 6. Classic conical form, 40 to 80 feet tall with that unmistakable Douglas fir silhouette that defines the Pacific Northwest skyline. Dense branching from top to bottom. Here's the practical value. Douglas fir is the most commercially important timber tree in North America. Its strength-to-weight ratio makes it the preferred choice for structural framing in construction. The same qualities that make it strong enough to build houses make it strong enough to stand against any storm. If you're in the western half of the country, this is your tree. Full stop. Nothing else is adapted as perfectly to your climate. Think of it as the tree that proves regional adaptation creates optimal performance. The tree the West was built on, now ready to build your privacy. Number 17. Carolina Sapphire Cypress, the Silvery Speed Grower. Remember at the beginning when I told you to stick around for number 17? Here it is. Arizona Cypress. Carolina Sapphire's parent species evolved in the desert southwest millions of years ago. It developed heat and drought tolerance that no other privacy conifer can match. This tree has been surviving in conditions that would kill every other tree on this list. 3 to 4 feet per year in zones 6 through 9. Evergreen, dense branching, and that foliage. The silvery blue colour is unlike anything else in the privacy tree world. It almost glows in certain light. People will stop on the sidewalk and stare. And because of those millions of years of desert evolution, this tree handles heat and drought like a champion. While other privacy trees are struggling through summer, Carolina Sapphire is thriving. The stunning silvery blue colour means this isn't just a privacy tree, it's the centerpiece of your landscape design. Privacy that people admire rather than just accept. Think of it as privacy that people stop and admire. Millions of years of evolution created something beautiful, and it's ready for your backyard. Number 18. Wax Myrtle, the fragrant privacy hedge. Colonial Americans boiled wax myrtle berries to make bayberry candles, a tradition that started with Native Americans and became the signature scent of early American homes. To this day, bayberry candles are lit on Christmas Eve for good luck. Your privacy hedge carries a tradition that's hundreds of years old. 3 to 5 feet per year in zones 7 through 11. Evergreen, 10 to 15 feet tall. And here's the game changer. It tolerates sandy soil, salt spray, and extreme heat. If you're on the coast or in the deep south where other privacy trees struggle, wax myrtle thrives. Most people in hot climates think they're stuck with fences because trees can't handle the heat. Wax myrtle proves them wrong every single day. The berries still produce natural bayberry candle wax. Your privacy hedge literally doubles as a candle-making supply store. Harvest the berries in fall, boil them down, and you've got handmade bayberry candles for Christmas. From your privacy hedge to your dinner table. Think of it as the plant that proves regional natives often outperform exotic alternatives. Sometimes, the best privacy solution has been growing in your region all along. Number 19. Bamboo, the controversial speed champion. Bamboo has been used for privacy screening in East Asia for over 5,000 years. Japanese tea gardens use bamboo walls to create what's called roji, the dewy path that separates the mundane world from the sacred tea ceremony space. For 5 millennia, bamboo has been the barrier between ordinary life and something extraordinary. Clumping varieties like Fargesia and Bambusa grow 3 to 5 feet per year in zones 5 through 10. Dense, vertical, modern look, evergreen, and a minimal footprint that fits in places where traditional trees simply can't. Bamboo produces edible shoots, fishing poles, garden stakes, and the fastest growing building material on Earth. All from your privacy screen. The multi-purpose value is off the charts. Now here's the warning, and I cannot stress this enough. Only plant clumping varieties. Fargesia, Bambusa. That's it. Running bamboo, species like Phylostachys, is invasive. It can destroy foundations, break through pipes, and invade your neighbour's property. I have seen running bamboo turn into an absolute nightmare. Some areas have actually banned it, Check your local regulations before planting any bamboo. Clumping bamboo stays where you put it. Running bamboo goes wherever it wants. Know the difference. Think of it as the plant that proves thinking outside traditional tree categories opens up incredible possibilities, as long as you choose the right variety. Number 20. Leyland Cypress Varieties. The ultimate privacy wall. The original Leyland cypress was a natural accident. Discovered in 1888 at Leighton Hall in Wales, when two completely different cypress species cross-pollinated by chance. That single hybrid, born from a random act of nature, became the most planted privacy tree in the entire English-speaking world. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries happen when we least expect them. 3 to 4 feet per year in zones 6 through 10. Narrow, tall form. 40 to 60 feet tall, but only 10 to 15 feet wide. Dense, evergreen foliage that blocks everything. It combines all the best qualities on this list. Evergreen, narrow, dense, and fast. But I saved this tree for last for a very specific reason. Let me tell you about an estate in Virginia. In the 1950s, the property owner planted Leyland cypress walls along the entire boundary. Simple saplings that cost about $5 each back then. Over the next 7 decades, the wooden fences on every neighboring property were replaced 3, sometimes 4 times. Each replacement cost more than the last. From a few $100s in the 60s to over $15,000 today. But those Leyland cypress walls, they still stand. 70 years later, they're over 60 feet tall, completely maintenance-free, and they've actually increased the property value by an estimated $40,000. Let that sink in. The $5 saplings from 1953 became the most valuable investment on the entire property. 3 generations of wooden fences came and went. The living walls remained. The architectural quality is so clean that landscape designers use Leyland cypress for formal garden walls. Your privacy screen doubles as a design statement. Think of it as privacy perfection for the modern property owner, backed by 70 years of living proof. The ultimate living wall. So there you have it, 20 living walls that can transform your backyard. You don't have to wait 15 years. You don't have to spend $30,000. And you don't have to settle for a wooden fence that rots. These living walls have protected Roman estates, medieval monasteries, Native American communities, and colonial homesteads for thousands of years. Now they're ready to protect your backyard. Sometimes, the best solutions are the ones that have been growing all along. We just forgot to look. Nature provides. It always has. And these 20 trees are the proof. So which team are you? Are you Team Evergreen, the Roman fortress approach, year-round coverage no matter what, the trees that have been standing guard for millennia? Are you Team Deciduous, letting nature put on a show while still protecting your space? 4 seasons of beauty with privacy to match. Or are you Team Exotic, creating a backyard that looks like it belongs in a botanical garden? The kind of property that makes people slow down and stare. Drop your answer and your USDA zone in the comments below, and I'll tell you exactly which trees are perfect for your climate. I read every single comment. If this video helped you, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We've got a lot more coming, including how to plant these trees for maximum growth and how to create the perfect privacy layout for your specific property. I'll see you in the next one. Check out this video next for more privacy tree strategies, and don't forget to subscribe.